إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستغفره ونستعينه ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي المقصرة أولا بتقوى الله، فاتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious and the most merciful. The best of his peace and blessings shall be bestowed upon his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us to complete the month of Ramadan, to go through this overhaul, if you will, this complete training camp to train us and prepare us for the big mission on earth. It is important for us to think of it this way. Those sleepless nights, al-ibadat, al-siyam, lack of sleep, lack of food, the extra energy in ta'ah and ibadat was there for a great reason, for your purpose on earth as a Muslim. Coming out of Ramadan, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us and help us apply what we learned in Ramadan. A lot of ulama talk about the sign of acceptance, and they also talk about husn al-dhan billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you do anything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the absolute belief that He's going to accept from you, that's very important. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sincerity. But also a sign, a practical sign of acceptance is, what did we learn from Ramadan? And how our lives will be after Ramadan. If we benefited from Ramadan, what are we going to do after Ramadan? So today, inshallah, we're going to start a series of khutbahs on how to use that energy from Ramadan in developing our community and our country. Because your role, your job is very important and very big in improving life. Whatever we are, whoever we're dealing with, you are an important creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to better life. Make things around you better for everybody. And in order for us to develop our community, there's one important element that we need to focus on. And we need to fix, which is the family. The family that consists of the father and the mother, the husband and the wife, and the children. The cornerstone of the community is the family. If the family is fixed, salihah, everything else will fall in place. And salah and family, the righteous family, the right family, has to consist of rajul salih wa imra'a salihah. As a start, righteous man, righteous husband, and a righteous wife. And the righteous man and the righteous wife will produce righteous children. Simple equation. We need strong, healthy community, we need strong family. A strong family needs rajul salih wa imra'a salihah that will produce dhurriyyah salihah. How can we build this? If we look at the divorce rate in our community, just in Canada, we know that the signs are troubling. Some say 30, some say 40% divorce rate, which is quite disturbing, if you will. How can we build a community if we don't have that strong family that will last? And why do we have this failure? What can we do about it? Or can we do anything about it? There are three things that I'm proposing, I'm going to share with you today, inshallah, in the way of developing this righteous family. Maintaining that relationship, the marriage. Three things that we're going to look at, inshallah. First one, patience. Second one, understanding the goals and roles by the husbands and the wives. And the third one is the rules of engagement, or the rules of the process of engagement, or the process of selection. How do we form that family? Because if it's done properly from the beginning, inshallah, it will last healthy and strong and productive. Let's start with patience, which is the last point, but I'm going to put it first for a reason. As-sabr. We've heard from many shuyukh that anything we do in life normally needs sabr. We need to be patient with it. We need to give it the time. Don't rush into conclusions. Don't jump into judgments. Patience has to be exercised at its best and its highest level. An advice that you get from everybody, which is very important, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yuhibbu sabirin. There's a reason why sabr has an elevated status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sabirin, those who exercise patience, they have a very high status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who knows us best, also told us something else about sabr. In the story of Musa alayhi wa ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with Al-Khidr alayhi salam, we all know when Sayyidina Musa met Sayyidina Al-Khidr, he asked him, قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا? He asked him, can I please become your follower? Because I want to learn from you what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. What did Sayyidina Al-Khidr say? قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. He said, you're not going to be able to be patient with me. Sayyidina Musa is asking Al-Khidr, can I follow you? To learn from you. He told him, إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. You'll never be able to be patient. Why? وكيف تصبر على ما لم تحط به خبرا. How are you going to be patient when you're facing things that you know nothing about? Important. In order for us to develop patience, we need to have some knowledge, some awareness, some understanding of the mission, if you will. Without it, Sayyidina Musa was not able to exercise sabr. And we will not be able to exercise sabr. So the second point here is the understanding of the goals and the roles and the details of marriage. The rights and the duties, the mechanisms. Why are we getting married to begin with? Especially that we live in an age where a lot of people are diverting away from marriage because it's a burden. Because of these responsibilities, because of this, because of that, because of freedom. And our kids that are getting married now, they're exposed to this mentality. So how can we bring this back to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to be? When we talk about the roles and the goals, first thing we need to understand, as we've mentioned many, many times, our role on earth, as explained in the Holy Quran, has two important goals. We have two important goals for our existence on earth, and the first one is said, developing earth, amarat al-ard. The second one is spreading social justice, stop bloodshed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to have khulafa'an ala al-ard that will develop and prosper earth. But why can't we all individually be those khulafa and we do the job and it's over? It doesn't work this way because we will die. So we need succession. We need to reproduce. So we need marriage. So this is why marriage is a must. It's not an option. Because we need to make sure we have more khulafa and more people to do the job. So three things that every man and every woman, every male and every female need to understand moving into marriage. Why am I getting married? Because I want to establish what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to establish. I want to develop earth at my capacity. But in mind, I'm marrying to develop earth, to better the life of humanity. I am marrying so I can establish social justice at my capacity, and I am marrying so I can produce more people to do the job. How many times have you heard men and women, or males and females, having that clear vision or clear goal before getting married? And I ask you parents, please, when you're about to select or make a decision, don't just look at the money. We'll get to the process of selection at the end. But we all need to be focused on the vision, on the main goal. The goal that unites us all, the goal that connects us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so it will not be a marriage based on personal desires, for beauty, or for this, or for that. Whatever we do, lillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have Him in mind in everything we do. We also need to know, and it's important to teach our children ourselves, that men are not better than women, women are not better than men. We're partners. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many ayat stated clearly the equality when it comes to the purpose. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Al-ins, all men and women, male and female, their purpose is to ya'bud. Ya'bud means yuti', to follow Allah's commands in what we just mentioned. So you both are ordered to follow Allah's commands, not just the men or women. We also have the same status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you're male or female, same status, no difference. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَىٰ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِندَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. We have the same status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Third thing, we will be judged equally. The same judgment for you, the same judgment for her. No difference. If you're better, you will receive some special treatment. But no, in the exact same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً. On earth, whether you're male or female, you do a good deed, you will get a good life. Irrespective if you are male or female, وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. The same ajr في الدنيا والآخرة based on your deeds, not on your gender. It's important also when we establish this family for both males and females to understand that we're equal in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The best of you have the best taqwa and the best iman. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows who's got best taqwa and best iman. This also brings a very important point, that both male and female need to receive the same training and education. Because they're partners, and this is to the parents, because they're partners in fulfilling the goals of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth, they need to both be prepared. Education, they need to both get good education, both get right Islamic education, both get right training, because they're both important in establishing the goal. Also, where both men and women have a managerial role in life. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. You're all ra'i. Ra'i is a caregiver, and it's also a manager, the person that manages certain affairs. الرجل راع في بيته وفي أهله والمرأة راعية في بيت زوجها. You're a manager and she's a manager. We might have different tasks, But we're both, by Rasulullah's words, have the job of a manager and have responsibilities which make us both important for the task. No one is more and no one is less important. But what is the main role and the main task for a man, as we mentioned before? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Taha, addressing Adam alayhi salam, saying, إِنَّ هَذَا عَدُوٌ لَكَ وَلِزَوْجِكَ فَلَا يُخْرِجَنَّكُمَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ فَتَشْقَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear in this ayah that the main task, after listing all these equalities, now what's the difference? What's the real difference between men and women? Your job, your function is different. Does it make you more important? Does it make you less important? But you have a different function and you're equipped with different characteristics to help you be really good at your function. So your function is ash-shaqa. So you're going to be taking care of all the hard work to deliver what? Most important deliverable in this hard work is listed beautifully in قول الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم in حجة الوداع. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, اتقوا الله في النساء فإنكم أخذتموهن بأمان الله. اتقوا الله في النساء. Be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you deal with women. Do not think because they look weaker that you can take advantage of them or you can abuse them. They're created in a certain way for a certain reason. فَإِنَّكُمْ أَخَذْتُمُوهُنَّ بِأَمَانِ اللَّهِ. You've taken them under one important condition, which is what? Aman, security. We want to make this very simple, my dear brothers and sisters. You're going to work hard, you're going to suffer. This is the real meaning of manhood. So you can provide a secure space for them to complete their mission. Your partners. They need a secure place. Why? Because remember we said there are kids involved. They need to be raised. We'll talk about that. They need a place for them to function. Because we know that life is troublesome. We know that life is tough. We know there are a lot of things happening out there that disturb peace and tranquility in anybody's life. We all work hard, long hours, subjected to abuse. All sorts of abuse. Your job as a man is to come in this chaotic world and establish that safe space, that secured space. This is your job. You work, you bring money, you suffer here and suffer there. Provide that secure space. Is there a price tag on that space? No. Whatever your capacity is, as long as it's a secured space for your partner, women, to function in. That's your job as a man. What about women? So Rajul Salih worked and offered that space. Al-Mar'a Salihah will work in that space to complete that great goal. What is that? The job or the goal in that secure space. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. Second. In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا. So the job of your partner, the job of females, is to turn that secure space, not just a beautiful space with expensive furniture and a nice taste and a decoration. No, to turn it into a place of tranquility, full of love, care, respect. Hadina, it's a foster home. Why? because the big job is coming. The newly wedded will enjoy a year or two, and then there's a big mission, tarbiyah, raising children. One of the most important challenges and problems we have in our communities is lack of tarbiyah. Our children are suffering because of lack of tarbiyah, our understanding of tarbiyah, our application of tarbiyah, our readiness to provide tarbiyah. You look at many houses, there's no secured place. Women maybe have to work sometimes because it's tough. There is no sakina. There's no mutual respect and care at home. However, if we are missing those fundamental elements, how can we perform tarbiyah? We're not going to perform tarbiyah. We don't have the right condition for the tarbiyah, we will never perform tarbiyah. But if we get it right from the beginning, men secured this space and women provide tranquility in the space, then we can work together as a team to produce that generation. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم فاستغفروه فيفوز المستغفرين. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So alhamdulillah, we got a righteous man that did his job and provided. We got a righteous woman that established tranquility. Before we get to the point of tarbiyah, they're still living alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the famous ayah in Surah An-Nisa, الرجال قوامون على النساء الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. As explained many times, الرجال قوامون means they're caregiver. They're standing up من قيام, exaggeration of qiyam, continuously working hard to provide and care with the ability that they've been given. Each one has been given certain ability to do their job. فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. You have some fadl and she has some fadl. You got some strength, she got some strength. She got weaknesses, you got weaknesses at the same time. So you're working hard to provide. What's next? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, بما فضل بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. Now the clear statement here is, men is working hard to provide, because generating money is not an easy job, as we all know. And you, Mr. Man, focus on this hard task. Go and hunt and dig and work. You want her available for something else. So with this hard work, you're providing security and providing financials. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is the description of a Rajul al-Salih. A Rajul al-Salih, the righteous man, is the one that's continuously working hard to care, to give, to secure, to spend. Put yourself, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the Rajul before in Morden. A lot of times, people come and complain that my wife is this and my wife is that. And the question is, did you start with yourself? Are you a Rajul Salih? You want the Mar'a Salihah? You need to be a Rajul Salih first. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about men first. Rajul Salih, qawam ala nisa, yunfiq. Working hard to secure and give and provide. So we get the Rajul Salih first. And then, what about the Mar'a Salihah? فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفَظَ اللَّهِ. فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ. No sugarcoating. ما هو القنوط؟ القنوط الطاعة. طاعة means to follow, to obey. فالصالحات قانتات. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used قانتات, although at the end of the ayah used the word طاعة, but the qunut is used to it to being طاعة لله سبحانه وتعالى. قوموا لله قانتين. To obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's a very important concept. There is a form of obedience in this arrangement. There is a form of following, a lead in this concept, which is portrayed by many to be a form of abuse and a form of injustice, which is, I'm sorry, but it's absolutely wrong. First thing we need to say, in any arrangement that involves more than one person, there has to be an organizational structure. There has to be a leader. And when we say leaders, look at any leadership books or courses or anything that talks about leadership nowadays. It tells you there's one very important element in leadership, which is care. Leadership is pushing. It's not really leading from the front. It's pushing everybody from the back to reach success and safety and prosperity with care and love. With this leadership that should be provided by a man in his household, and I consider this another condition on a man. To be a man is to be a good leader, because you're going to lead this household, your wife, your kids, to success, prosperity, advancement, security. They want to stand behind your back. You need to take that role and play it well. A lot of women are suffering because their men are not playing the leadership role. They're offloading a lot of responsibilities of them. They want them to work. Wallahi, we hear sad stories. They put them down because they don't bring money. We're not responsible for that. You are responsible for that. A lot of problems because we don't have these ideas defined and clear to us. I'm not saying she cannot do it. There's a lot of details with no time for right now. But I'm talking about the ideal case. Any variations based on agreement is fine. If there's an agreement between a man and a woman to play different roles or do different things, you're free to do it. But here's the ideal case. Here's what we need to do. Lead with understanding and love and care, and sit down and discuss. If you guys agree on doing something different with maintaining the courtesy, the respect, then you're free to do whatever you want. So المرأة الصالحة قانتة. When there's a decision made, there's discussion, but then there is submission. There's agreement. And we do not disturb the operation by saying, I don't want this, I don't like that, I'm going to go to my family, this is not right, I want, to buy this for this price. We do not rebel against one another. And it's a very important element in any coherent group dynamics, is eventually when the decision is made, we say Alhamdulillah and we move on as a team. As a team. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said qanitat because, my dear sister, my daughter, when you are obeying, you're obeying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the sake of Allah, you're doing it for Allah. You're not doing it out of abuse. You're not doing it out of weakness. You're not doing it out of injustice. Given that the man is salih, he's not going to order anything haram. He's not going to order anything abusive. He's not going to hurt anybody or harm anybody. So working as a team, this arrangement is important. And if we don't do it, then we get into the area of nashaz, rebellion. And that's where the family will collapse. And this takes us to the last point, the process of selection. Anything in life, if planned well from its beginning, there will be less chances for it to fail. How do we form families? Rasulullah ﷺ said in a very famous hadith, تُنْكَحِ الْمَرْأَةِ لِأَرْبَعٍ. And what's mentioned in that hadith, مالها وجمالها ونسبها ودينها. المال, money, والجمال, beauty, and nasab, the family, and then the deen. And let's pay attention when Rasulullah ﷺ said, focus on the one with the deen. And the same thing told the parents, when a man is about to come and ask for your daughter's hand, مَنْ جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضُونَ دِينَهُ وَأَمَانَتَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. So the first element in the process of selection is deen. Why deen? Because a person with a proper deen understanding is a person that ties everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm marrying to please Allah. I'm marrying to establish Allah's order. This man will never abuse or hurt or harm deliberately. We'll all make mistakes, but we will never abuse or harm or hurt. We also pay attention, same thing on the woman, for bidat al-deen. But what about the first three? Al-mal wal-jamal wal-nasab. If you think about it, these are source of arrogance. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَاتِ تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنَّ. If a woman starts showing arrogance in the relationship, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, this is not going to work, that's when things start collapsing. For sure, prior to that, if a man shows abuse, if a man shows abuse or a woman shows arrogance, family will collapse. The Rasulullah said, stay away from pure man, or pure jamal, or pure nasab. He did not say, do not select man and jamal and nasab. And it's amazing if you can't get it all in one package. Bingo. Well, we know it might not work. Or you're going to be searching forever. You and your rizq. However, if a youth come and say, Jamal, 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 that's all I care about, Rasulullah said, don't choose just based on Jamal or money or family. Why? These are source of arrogance. A beautiful woman will always remind you, I'm the most beautiful in the family, I had this asking for me. She will feel that you're not good enough for her beauty. A woman with a lot of money might always remind you that you are a shahat. My father had this and this amount of money. Who are you? If I want this, you need to buy it for me. Or the one from a famous family will use that trick as well. So these are sources of arrogance that will disturb your life. If you choose a woman just based on these without deen, you're setting yourself up for failure. Know it and know it very well. But if you do it, أَظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكَ, you're focused on the deen, even if she's got mal or beauty or family, the deen will keep her focused on what? On the goal. In any group work, if we're not all focused on the goal, we're not going to reach the goal. So here, my dear brothers and sisters, if we have this great family, focused on the goal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, respecting each other, and knowing what we want to do, we will reach our destination. We will have a strong family that can provide tarbiyah. We need to focus on tarbiyah. And if women are not ready to perform that tarbiyah, which is the most important job for a woman to produce this great generation, we're not going to reach it. In a famous story about Najm al-Din Ayyub, and I end with this inshallah. We don't know the Sahhat al-Riwayah, but it's available, that Najm al-Din refused to get married for a long time. When his brother asked him why, he said, because I'm looking for a woman with three descriptions. First thing is, tu'inuni ala ad-din, to assist me, to be a partner for me to practice my deen, to take my hand to Jannah, and to help me produce a generation that will free Al-Aqsa. It was occupied back then. He couldn't find anybody. Once he was with his sheikh, and he heard him talking to a lady, and he was asking her, why did you refuse your aris, or the person that's asking for your hand? She said the same thing. I want someone that will help me in my deen, take my hand to Jannah, and produce a generation that will free Al-Aqsa. He immediately told his sheikh, I want to marry that woman. He told him that she's a poor woman, she's no good for you. He goes, no, I want to marry her because we have the same goals. This is how you select, my dear brother. My dear young brother, you don't have a chance of selection anymore. My dear young brother, this is how you select. Focus, clear your goal. Know what are your goals in life. Know that you want to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Select a person with the same goals. Beauty and everything else will come later, will come after. We'll focus on it after. But if you focus on the goal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, focus that you want to tahsin al-tarbiyah. A tarbiyah is an an important part of the zawaj. If we get married without thinking, is this woman capable of providing tarbiyah? Am I capable of providing tarbiyah? We're not going to be able to establish this family. So I ask you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those of you that have children to be married, to focus on these elements more than anything else. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us produce that generation that will bring us back the dignity. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make all of us رجل صالح وامرأة صالحة. اللهم ارزقنا الصلاح يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارزقنا الصلاح يا الله. اللهم ارزقنا الصلاح وأعنا على تربية أبنائنا. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us raise the righteous generation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and protect us and bless us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us all our good deeds and our siyam and our qiyam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our brothers and sisters across the globe. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. إن الله يأمركم بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم واستغفروه يغفر لكم والله يعلم ما تصنعون. قوموا إلى صلاتكم.